ready for a wild ride. Today's deep dive is about a fighter whose journey is about as unlikely as they come. We're talking Bas Rutten.
Unlikely is an understatement.
Ooh.
We're going through some excerpts from his Wikipedia page, and let me tell you, this isn't your typical dry encyclopedia entry.
Oh, this is going to be good.
It's more like, blueprint for becoming a warrior.
I like that. Okay, so picture this. A kid growing up in the Netherlands dealing with severe eczema and asthma.
Tough hand to be dealt.
Can't even exercise without struggling, and this is Bas Rutten we're talking about.
It's wild to think about, right? Because that period of vulnerability, it actually laid the groundwork for his incredible resilience later on.
Had to be tough.
Those early struggles, they became the foundation for his fighting spirit.
Definitely fits with that saying, what doesn't kill you
makes you stronger.
Exactly. And man, did he need that strength. The excerpts mention how those illnesses made him a target for bullies.
Ah, that's rough.
But here's where it gets interesting. Almost poetic when you think about it. To escape the bullies, Rutten would climb trees.
Now that might seem like just a simple act, but think about it. The spatial awareness, the agility needed to maneuver those branches, the pure determination to escape danger.
You don't even realize you're training.
Right. Those are skills that translate directly to combat sports. It's fascinating.
Like he's unknowingly prepping for the ring.
Exactly.
So this challenging childhood, it really fueled his spirit. But the spark, the thing that truly ignited his passion for martial arts.
Oh, I think we all know where this is going.
Had to come from a legendary source. We're talking, of course, about Bruce Lee.
Of course. Like countless kids at the time, seeing Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, it was life-changing for young Bas Rutten.
The man was electric.
Right. But even with that inspiration, his journey into martial arts, it wasn't easy.
Oh, absolutely not. The excerpts mention that when he finally convinced his parents to let him try Taekwondo at 14.
14?
14. They weren't exactly thrilled about it.
Imagine that. Hey, Mom and Dad, I want to learn how to kick and punch. Not exactly music to their ears, I'm guessing.
Right. But then, as luck or maybe fate would have it, young Bas ends up in a street fight. And remember, this is the kid who used to be bullied. What does he do?
What does he do?
Breaks the bully's nose.
No way.
And it's a single punch.
Talk about a turning point. I bet that's when his parents realized, okay, maybe there's something to this whole martial arts thing.
Right. Like, our kid might actually have a knack for this.
You could say that.
Yeah.
This natural aptitude for fighting, it really blossomed when he started his kickboxing career. 14 wins, most of them first-round knockouts.
That guy was a force of nature.
He was a knockout machine, no doubt. But even legends face setbacks, right?
They do.
And the excerpts mention that he had 2 losses toward the end of his kickboxing run. One of them, the European Muay Thai title fight with Frank Lobman, particularly shrouded in some controversy.
What exactly happened there?
Well, the Lobman fight is a classic example of how external factors can sometimes throw even the most talented fighter off their game.
Nerves, the pressure.
Rutten has spoken about taking that fight on short notice, not being able to prepare adequately.
And if I remember correctly, there might have been a little, shall we say, celebrating the night before the fight?
There have been rumors. Let's just leave it at that. But regardless of the specifics, those early losses, though disappointing, they ultimately steered him toward a path that would define his legacy. Pancrase. This is where things get really interesting.
Pancrase. Now we're talking about the Wild West of early MMA. Different rules, grappling was king. And Rutten, despite his striking prowess, had a lot to learn.
This is where we see Rutten's adaptability shine through. Instead of shying away from this new challenge, he fully embraced it. He dove headfirst into this whole new world of pain.
And his Pancrase debut was nothing short of explosive. He completely dominated his opponent, Ryushi Yanagisawa, knocked him out so severely that Yanagisawa ended up in the hospital.
What a way to announce your arrival, right?
Talk about making a statement.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing from there. As you pointed out, Pancrase heavily emphasized grappling, which early on was a weakness in Rutten's game.
Exactly. In fact, his loss to Masakatsu Funaki, one of the founders of Pancrase,
A fight.
really exposed this vulnerability. Rutten got taken down, controlled.
It's a humbling experience, getting dominated like that.
Definitely a pivotal moment in his career, highlighting this need to evolve beyond just striking.
And evolve he did. That's one of the most remarkable things about Rutten. He was never content with resting on his laurels. He was constantly seeking improvement, always trying to add more tools to his arsenal.
And you can see that evolution in his fighting style. He didn't just rely on his natural power and aggression. He became a student of the game, constantly learning, constantly refining his technique.
That's what separates the good from the great, isn't it? That relentless pursuit of mastery, that willingness to learn and adapt, that's what defines a champion.
And speak of champions, it's time we talk about Rutten's rise to the top of the Pancrase world. And speak of champions, it's time we talk about Rutten's rise to the top of the Pancrase world.
From student to master.
Exactly. So we left off with Bas realizing he needed to evolve his fighting style. He had that striking power, but Pancrase, it demanded more, right?
Absolutely. And that's where his story takes this fascinating turn. Instead of shying away from that weakness, he confronts it head-on. The excerpts mention that he studied tapes obsessively, training with his ferocious intensity.
The man was relentless.
He even sought guidance from the very guy who exposed his grappling limitations, Masakatsu Funaki.
Wow, talk about turning a negative into a positive, right? It's like, not only does he recognize the weakness, but he asks the guy who exploited it to teach him.
That says a lot about his character.
Oh, absolutely. And this dedication, it paid off big time. He starts incorporating submissions into his arsenal, becoming this well-rounded threat.
Which is exactly what you needed in Pancrase.
Oh, yeah. Take the fight against Kazuo Takahashi, for instance.
Oh, you mean the shinbone fight?
The one and only. I gotta admit, even just reading about it sent shivers down my spine.
It's one for the books.
Snaps the guy's shin bone with a heel hook.
Brutal. Yeah. But before we get to the outcome, it's worth highlighting the technical brilliance of that submission. The heel hook, for those unfamiliar, it involves isolating your opponent's knee and twisting their foot, applying pressure to the ankle joint.
Sounds painful.
It's a high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
It takes incredible precision and leverage to pull off. And Rutten, well, he pulls it off with such force, he literally breaks Takahashi's shin bone.
It's got to be one of the most brutal submissions in Pancrase history.
Oh, for sure. It really cemented his reputation as a force to be reckoned with. In fact, John Blooming, a renowned martial artist, he was so impressed by Rutten's technical prowess that he awarded him an honorary black belt in Kyokushin Budokai.
Wow. An honorary black belt just for that submission. That's some high praise right there.
Absolutely.
It's clear that Rutten wasn't just winning fights, he was making a statement.
Oh, 100%. And then his victory over Minoru Suzuki further cemented his place as a top contender. Suzuki, at that time, he was considered one of the most formidable fighters in Pancrase, known for his technical grappling and submission skills.
So beating a legend like Suzuki, that's got to be a huge confidence boost.
No doubt. Solidified his place among Pancrase's elite. And then, of course, there's the legendary trilogy with Ken Shamrock. Now, Rutten may have lost 2 out of those 3 fights.
Right.
But the rivalry, legendary.
And it wasn't just about the competition, right? It went beyond the ring. There was a level of respect between them that you don't always see.
It was a rivalry built on mutual admiration. This shared desire to push the boundaries of mixed martial arts. They brought out the best in each other.
And you can still see that today. Their fights are still studied by aspiring fighters.
Oh, definitely.
It's amazing. Even in defeat, Rutten was still shaping the sport.
Influential even then.
But let's get back to his championship run. Becoming a 3-time king of Pancrase. That's incredible. What made him so dominant during that time?
It was a perfect storm, really. A combination of factors. By then, he'd refined his grappling skills, seamlessly blended them with that already fearsome striking. He was like a chess player, always thinking several moves ahead, always ready to capitalize on an opponent's mistake.
He had that it factor, that aura of invincibility.
He was captivating to watch.
And let's not forget the entertainment value, that signature victory celebration, the Rutten jump.
Classic. The split-legged leap of joy.
Yeah.
Pure Rutten.
The best.
He knew how to work a crowd, knew how to make every fight memorable.
He did. But beyond the charisma and the showmanship, it was his authenticity, his genuine passion for the sport that really resonated with fans.
100%. He wore his heart on his sleeve, and people loved him for it.
They did. Okay, so we've got this incredible run in Pancrase, multiple championships, iconic rivalries, and a fighting style that's as entertaining as it is effective. What's next for the king of Pancrase? Well, you guessed it. The UFC. That's right, the UFC. Rutten finally arrives in the UFC.
The energy was off the charts.
Oh, I bet. You've got this king of Pancrase coming off a 19-fight undefeated streak.
19 fights?
It was incredible.
The UFC marketing was brilliant. They knew they had a superstar on their hands, promoting him as, quote, the world's greatest martial artist.
Can you imagine the hype?
And remember, This is at a time when the sport is just starting to break into the mainstream.
Definitely a different era.
Totally.
The stage is set for Rutten to have this epic run. But as we so often see in combat sports, fate had other plans.
Injuries always looming.
His debut fight was supposed to be against, get this, Randy Couture
Wow.
for the heavyweight title.
Huge.
But then a contract dispute sidelines Couture.
Throws a wrench in every...
Total curveball. Instead, he faces Tsuyoshi Kosaka at UFC 18. What a fight that turned out to be.
Nail-biter.
It was a roller coaster. Rutten gets taken down repeatedly early on.
Not his world.
I bet a lot of people thought that was it. Like, okay, the king's reign is over.
Understandable.
But then, Rutten, he has this uncanny ability to weather the storm. You could never count the guy out. And boom, in the last minute of overtime, he pulls off this incredible knockout.
Classic Rutten. The heart, the resilience.
Talk about a dramatic finish. The crowd, I bet, went wild.
Mm-hmm.
But there was some controversy, right? Surrounding the stoppage. Something about the referee, Big John McCarthy.
There were definitely questions about the timing of the stand-up. Some people thought Kosaka was still active on the ground, landing punches.
Yeah, right.
It was a tough one.
But hey, a win's a win.
That's how it goes.
And it propels him to a title shot against Kevin Randleman at UFC 20. That fight, another instant classic.
Oh, yeah. Kevin Randleman was an absolute beast.
The guy was known for his explosive power, his wrestling. I mean, just a monster.
He came out like a man possessed, takes Rutten down early, keeps up this relentless pressure.
For a minute there, it looked like Rutten's championship dreams, they were slipping away.
The pressure was on.
But then he unleashes it, the legendary Bas Rutten liver kick.
Oof. Textbook. You could see it coming, that precise, brutal.
A thing of beauty, so brutal yet so effective, like watching an anatomy lesson in real time.
You know it's bad when.
It was devastating. That single kick, it completely shifted the momentum, and it really showcased Rutten's heart.
Absolutely. The ability to withstand that kind of punishment and come back stronger, incredible.
Even though the fight ended in a controversial split decision, Rutten, he emerges as the UFC heavyweight champion.
Hard-fought victory.
The culmination of years of dedication, of sacrifice. But sadly, his time at the top
Cut short.
by injury.
The one opponent you can't beat.
The wear and tear of countless battles finally catches up. The knee, the bicep, the neck.
It's rough reading about all the injuries these fighters endure.
It makes you wonder, what if he'd had more time? What could he have accomplished?
The what-ifs in this sport.
But you know, when I think about Bas Rutten's legacy, it goes beyond the championships, beyond those highlight reel knockouts.
Oh, absolutely. He was more than just a fighter.
It's that indomitable spirit, that willingness to evolve, the charisma, that infectious laugh. He transcended the sport. He became a global icon.
He showed the world that true strength, it's not just about physical prowess. It's about having the courage to face your weaknesses, the resilience to overcome adversity, and the heart to never give up on your dreams.
And he did it all with a smile on his face. Bas Rutten's story, it's a testament to the power of the human spirit.
100%.
It reminds us that even when the odds are stacked against you, you can achieve greatness if you're willing to fight for it.
And that's a lesson that goes way beyond the ring. No matter what challenges you're facing, remember Bas Rutten.
Exactly. Embrace the fight, keep learning, keep growing. That's the Bas Rutten way.
And on that note, we'll catch you on the next episode of The Deep Dive.